Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Cyan. This is Michael from the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT, and you went ahead and made a comment over at my website at www.bettertoeflscores.com, and let me take a look at the email or the comment that you made, and it was emailed to me also, and then I think I can give you some advice to get you going in the right direction here. So recently you took the TOEFL exam. You got 27 on the reading, 27 on the writing. Very strong, incredible. You got 22 on the listening. You got 23 on the speaking. So you say, I need to get at least 26 in both listening and speaking sections to appear for my licensing exams. I prepared using Barron's, Kaplan, and ETS official guide. As per the listening section is considered, I did very well from the materials. Even my speaking section is not that bad. But I did not get good TOEFL scores from actual TOEFL as I expected. I felt a little bit difficulty in answering the listening section. My next TOEFL test date is on May 27th. Do you think I have enough time to practice to get the required scores? Do you have anything like a crash course which suits my situation? If you have any, how much do I need to pay? Please let me know. Alrighty, so today is May 9th, so you're looking at what? 18 days here until your next test, and you want to move your speaking to 26 and move the listening to 26, so you're looking at getting maybe 7 or 8 more points than what you have right now. It's possible. I don't know if you can do it. It depends on you as a student. It might depend on your first language. It might depend on how hard you're willing to practice. Some of my students have used my service for a month and they've reached the goals that you want, but they were already super advanced before coming into my program. I had one student who, in your case, had 23 points on the speaking. It took her 3 months. She did get 26 points, but it wasn't easy. It took her actually about 90 days before she got the results that she wanted. Now, is that going to be exactly you? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know for sure. But let me tell you about my service, and particularly how it works. The main thing is it's a very inexpensive service. Imagine going online to an internet website, typing in your username and your password, right? And then, Siam, you'll go to my website. It's password protected, and there you have 330 lessons in 7 key areas. You have vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, reading, listening, writing, and speaking. So obviously you don't need to worry too much about your writing, but it's still not a bad idea to take a practice test maybe once a week as one of my students. You just keep your writing skills sharp. You can also work on a few reading practice tests here and there, but obviously you want to focus on the listening and the speaking areas. So in the speaking area, I can help you in 2 basic ways. First of all, in my pronunciation area of my course, I have about 50 different video lessons to help you improve your vowel, your consonant sound production. I can help you improve your pronunciation of syllable division, grammatical word endings. I can help you with your word stress, sentence rhythm. I can help you with intonation, thought groups, and blending. And what I do with a lot of my students, and of course I will do this with you, is one of the first things you want to do is to take my pronunciation pretest. And from there, we can figure out what are the most difficult pronunciation problems you're having, and then I can recommend which specific lessons you can study to help solve those problems. I even have an additional service where you can work with me like one-on-one, tutoring type of a deal, where you go through a pronunciation lesson. I will give you individual feedback for all 48 of those particular lessons. Now that's an additional service that's on top of my $35 a month, obviously, but you might be interested in that, because if you get around 22 or 23, or even when you get 24, a lot of students need to solve delivery issues. You already know how to organize your speaking task. You know how to develop the response. You know how to read and listen and take the notes down and combine the information. Most likely, you're not having too much trouble with that, but you could be having a lot of trouble with your delivery. And that could be preventing you from getting the score you want. And that's exactly why I have the pronunciation part of my course. Now, in addition to the pronunciation part, I also have a speaking section in my course. And so I am in the speaking section. I have a series of skill building lessons to help you get used to answering the independent and the integrated speaking tasks. Even I've had some of my previous students, they give me emails and they tell me what independent speaking tasks they were asked, and then I make those as part of the practice test for this part of my course. But basically what you'll do is you'll watch one of my videos to take a speaking practice test, and you will record your speech online. And then either that day or the next day, I get to listen to it, give you some comments, give you a score, give you some recommendations, and then you try to make a few changes to get better. So a lot of my students, when they're improving their speaking, it's a combination of looking at the lessons, taking the speaking lessons, taking some practice tests, getting some feedback, reviewing a few things, and trying again. It's a battle. You'll submit a practice test every day. Most of my students will submit at least one practice test. The requirement is they can't do more than one per day, but they'll submit one practice test per day to get feedback from me. And little by little, they get better. And I can't answer your question honestly if you can reach your goal by the 27th. I can tell you this statistically, students who use my service, they improve their TOEFL score anywhere from 5 to 10 points per month. Any more than that would be unusual, but any less than 5 would also be unusual. And of course also, your performance, or your progress, I should say, for a better word, your progress is directly dependent, of course, on how hard you work and how regularly you use my service. Does that make sense? So also in the listening area, I do have about 40 different listening practice tests, and I think my practice tests are a little bit more difficult than the actual TOEFL. They're very dense with a lot of facts, a lot of details, and in some cases even longer than the actual TOEFL. Sometimes some of my listening practice tests may even be up to 9 minutes long. But it's just getting you used to the listening. I also have some good videos to help you with your note-taking and those kinds of things. So anyway, at this time, in terms of answering your question, do you have a crash course? What you do is once you become one of my students, you don't have to study in all 7 areas. You pick what you want to study. But you will have access to all of my lessons, to all of my steps. I don't like to restrict the access because sometimes, Siam, to be honest with you, you might be doing a speaking practice test and there's something that you said in the speech that makes me refer you to a lesson in the grammar area, for example. I might notice that you might be having trouble with what's called syntactic variety. I might say, hey, by the way, I want you to check out grammar video lesson number 2 or something. If that's a problem I think you're having in that speech. Obviously in that speech you could be having some problems with pronunciation, in which case I might be referring you to some of my pronunciation lessons as well. Alright, anyway, that's kind of how it works. I hope I've given you some basic ideas of how things work with my service, and I hope that you'll consider becoming one of my students. At the very least, I think that you'll find that my 7-step system is a terrific supplement to any of the TOEFL materials you currently have. It's also a really good supplement to an intensive English program that you might be studying in. And even my service in many cases might even be better than that, because I offer some very specific type things that I can help you with at my website that sometimes you won't get in a classroom. For example, diagnostic and corrective feedback on your pronunciation. It's hard to get that sometimes in an intensive English program or a general TOEFL course, but you will definitely get that by becoming one of my students.